Suena el bongo, hazme un tumbao, que el ritmo lo pongo yo.
Learning to dance rueda cubana has been one of the best decisions I've made for my own mental health.
43-year-old Luis lives in Puebla, Mexico. After finishing his master's, he decided to try learning to dance salsa and was amazed at how this activity turned into a passion.
After several years of practice, he loves being part of a group where he enjoys learning a skill that has allowed him to experience the benefits and joy of dancing. But most importantly, dance is a way for Luis to feel interconnected.
Today's key concepts are connectedness and decentration. In the case of Luis, he describes how being part of a dance group helps him forget the sense of self and feel part of an integrated system.
Rueda cubana involves pairs of dancers that form a circle. It requires constant movement and the swapping of partners. This can create some spectacular visual effects.
If you want to dance rueda cubana like Luis, you can't be self-absorbed. You must look around, pay attention, observe others, and become integrated as part of the group. Your attention lens needs to become wider to include everyone in the circle.
Today, we will talk about the benefits of connecting with others and relaxing our ego. We can create stronger bonds with others when we stop thinking that we are at the center of the universe.
Let us begin by first describing the concept of centration. Centration is the act of mentally focusing our attention on our own sense of self. This can sometimes result in our disregard for the perspective of others.
Young children, let's say 2-year-olds, typically lack the ability to realize that other people have thoughts that are different from theirs. They are centered not because they don't want to see another perspective, they just don't have that ability yet.
When they play hide and seek, they may hide their faces behind an object and fail to realize that you can see the rest of their body sticking out. They think that if they can see you, that means you can't see them.
For this reason, it is hard for young children to learn how to share. They don't yet realize that other kids have different needs, that people see the world from their own perspective too.
The child psychologist Jean Piaget called that mental challenge egocentrism, not as a synonym for selfishness, though. Egocentrism, in this sense, means that children haven't yet developed the cognitive abilities to realize different points of view.
In a way, egocentrism never fully goes away. Even for adults, it would always be easier to see the world from their own angle. Think about political polarization as an example of how difficult it can be to see each other's perspective.
Ethnocentrism is also a good example of this bias we have. By the way, not only we tend to look at the world from the perspective of our own culture, but we also tend to think that our own way is naturally superior.
Our adult centration can play out across many domains. Married adults often get stuck in insufferable arguments because we fail to see each other's perspective.
Neighbors and fellow citizens can turn violent just because of a game or a sports rivalry. Different nations often fail to acknowledge their common humanity.
These are just some examples of the ways humans, from childhood to adulthood, can be negatively influenced by centering their own attention on their own subjective mental interpretation of reality.
One strategy to avoid being blinded by our own perspective is to consciously use our attention to engage in the opposite process. Decentration is an intentional use of our attention that can allow us to see the world from another perspective.
We like to recommend that you experiment switching from one state of mind to another. Let's say if you go to a restaurant, take a minute to think about the experience you're having from the waiter's point of view, without judging. Not judging is important to train our objectivity. Whether you're reading a book or watching a movie, try to put yourself in the shoes of different characters. Putting yourself in someone else's shoes involves areas of the brain related to planning, inferring mental states, working memory, visualization, and emotional regulation.
Developing these skills will help you be a better parent, colleague, wife, or friend.
We can also help others in our lives improve their well-being by setting an example.
We can use a more positive parenting approach when we teach our children to see other perspectives little by little, even from a young age.
Children can learn to share and begin to subconsciously develop a sense of empathy and kindness, even if they don't quite understand their peers' needs at first.
Later, children will be able to share toys with pleasure and understand the concept of mutual help.
This way, they learn to make friends, to listen, to use words, and to manage their emotions to resolve conflicts.
Decentering is often used in mindfulness-based cognitive therapy as a process of learning to relax our sense of self, shifting our focus to others, learning to be more objective in ways that allow us to realize that the universe does not revolve around our ego.
Sometimes we define ourselves as victims. The victim mindset that can become a habit that gets reinforced and can bring significant challenges to our mental health and our relationships. Decentering can help us regain our power away from the victim mindset. This is possible because we learn to see things more objectively. We avoid the need to judge and to label things in a fixed way. And we realize the difference between our interpretation of reality and reality itself.
When we practice objectivity, when we open our mind to the possibility of seeing other perspectives, and when we observe the world more carefully, we develop our own metacognition.
This means we get better at thinking about our own thoughts. We can learn to decenter to better connect with others in many ways. For Luis, Rueda Cubana was a highly effective way that brought about many benefits, including a boost to his mental health.
Remember, you can also listen to this episode in Italian and Spanish.
In our next episode, we will talk about humble leadership, which is a concept that is related with the idea of decentering to improve our social relations. Please consider supporting us with a small donation by visiting our website at www.togrowhappy.com.
We hope this episode can help you be happy. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Adiós.
Que lo demás lo pongo